Well, hello there, and welcome to the third episode of the Highlighter Podcast. This is Mark Isero, and I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. Today is a big day for the podcast. I'm excited to introduce to you the podcast's very first ever guest. So let's get right to it. With me in studio is loyal subscriber Heidi. How are you today, Heidi?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be the first person to join you on this.
It's totally. How are you feeling about the studio?
It's nice. It's very well lit. We've warmed up vocal cords for the past 3 hours, so we're ready to go.
That's wonderful. I'm happy that you're prepared. And it's wonderful to have you on the show. If you all out there don't know, Heidi is an artist and an art teacher in the East Bay. Can you say more?
So I've been teaching for, I'm going my 12th year, teaching high school art, and I'm also a professional artist, and I enjoy both of those worlds, and that's about it.
Can you say more about your process with your students in the art classroom, sort of what your approach is and what you're hoping from your students?
I think as the years have gone on, I've developed a deeper passion for serving young people and increasing the rigor, and I always welcome them as scholars. That's a big part of my philosophy, is having a VIP experience for them in the classroom, and that how art is a way of not only expression, but how they can learn about visual culture and learn about various art movements and how they correlate with different historical movements. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
That's great. Thanks, Heidi. Are you ready then? Are you ready to talk about an article that you liked in this week's issue of the Highlighter Digest?
Actually, what I'd really prefer to do is to ask you some questions.
Really?
As a loyal subscriber. Yes. Well, you've gone up to 101.
This is controversial. This is you're gonna. You want to ask me? You want to ask me questions then?
Yes, if that's okay.
Great. Yeah, go for it.
So, I get this lovely email on Thursday mornings at 9:10, and it has this selection of articles. And what pops into my mind is, how long does it take you to do this process of selecting the articles, and what's sort of the framework that you look at when you're choosing things?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, you probably know already. I'm sort of reading all the time. And this whole digest basically started just because I was reading and I wanted to share great articles with people who actually wanted to maybe read them. And so what happens is that usually on Thursday, I'm just all excited that the digest went out. So Thursday is sort of like a day off. But then starting on Friday or Saturday, I'm just collecting articles. I'm scanning my various sources, and it's sort of like the discovery and collection phase where I'm just reading all these different things, and I'm trying to just decide which ones are high quality enough. And I think that that's sort of one of the two criteria is, you probably know I like long articles, but also well-written articles, and they do have to be about things that I actually am following or that I care about. And so even though lately the topics are a little bit more eclectic, they definitely go back to issues of race and issues of education. And so that's sort of like the weekend. And then what happens starting on Monday or Tuesday is that I sort of say, okay, which ones are going to be the best for and which ones do I want to put out there? And usually what happens is that the ones that don't make the cut are either saved possibly for later, or they sort of just go away. So it's really, what do you get? It's sort of like, what are the best stories of the week, and then which ones, will make the cut.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of work. I mean, I can say that as a subscriber that I really appreciate all the thoughtfulness and time that you put into this, because it sounds like you're sifting and looking and trying to pick out the best ones, and that can take, I imagine it takes time to really put together a good one.
Well, I mean, yeah, the blurbs take a little bit of time. I like writing the blurbs because I've heard from subscribers that they like the little paragraph blurbs next to the articles.
Hmm.
But the other thing is that, I mean, do you ever notice that you're reading the same publications all the time, like the whole filter
Right.
thing, the filter bubble? So that's sort of partly what I'm trying to do too, is to force myself to read stuff in addition to, say, like the New York Times, which I totally love. And so I'm trying to find articles that are a little bit, in different places. So one of my tabs has like 30 or 40 publications, and
Wow.
I follow some people on Twitter, and I have this RSS feed. But the thing is, like, my biggest thing is I'm trying to actually find more articles with conservative viewpoints.
Hmm.
And that's not easy. Like, I have to say that, I mean, I don't want to be, too snooty here, but like sometimes when I go on those sites, it's a lot of advertisements and it's a lot of stuff that's popping out at you, and they're not as long. They're like only about a page or two, and so they don't offer, I feel like, as sort of like as sort of like a lengthy argument. But I'm definitely still looking for viewpoints that I might not even agree with.
Oh, that's interesting that you're finding that with the visuals about it. Yeah, because that's something that I don't tend to look on or to seek out usually. So, huh.
Yeah, I mean.
So is there like a process by like which you think of a theme necessarily? Because for me this week, I noticed that like there was sort of an interesting juxtaposition between the one that was the environmental, disaster yet to come, and then at the end there was the orange one, right, about sort of the different implications with environmental factors. And so it was just like, for me, I was like, oh, did he sort of, intentionally set that up that way?
Yeah, this time I did, but usually I don't. And sometimes I put them side by side, either before or after the photo, and sometimes it's first and last. But I don't purposely. Sometimes I do want to have like a themed issue, and I think I might do that in the future, like sort of what do we think about or what do we know about X, where like whatever a theme is. But that I feel hasn't happened yet. But I really do like following specific things like school segregation, for example, or from some of my favorite authors or themes. And it's weird, like I didn't try to get the second Oranges story because there was one last week too, but for some reason I just get excited about specific things. But yeah, it was weird how like that huge doomsday article up top this week was sort of related to the Oranges, at the end. But yeah, so sometimes, but I'm not purposely trying to do that.
Very cool. I like it. I like the photos too. It's always interesting to see what you put out there.
Well, I totally want readers to send me photos, to send me their animals, lots of cats and dogs. There's a huge debate about whether highlighter subscribers prefer, dogs or cats. So we have to do that too. Is it okay if I ask you some questions now?
Sure, yeah.
Well, I mean, I wanted to ask you about how you read, the highlighter so far. Do you like wait for it every Thursday morning and then open it? Do you save it for later? What's your process there?
I open it as soon as I get it. I look through it really quickly, and then I usually will read two of the articles Saturday mornings. Tend to be the time that works best for me, because that's usually when my son is watching some obnoxious Pokemon show or something. So I need something to tune out, and and I usually will choose. I definitely choose education articles. I like those a lot because I'm a teacher, and I like the ones that are longer and sort of prompt my thinking in ways I haven't thought of before. So that's sort of what I go through in terms of my thinking process.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, do you find that you're ever talking to people about the articles? That was definitely one of my hopes, was that people would read articles, maybe challenge, but then like try to do something with it. But then, like, do you notice that you talk to people, or is it mostly just for you?
I think it's mostly just for me. I would like to talk to people. I don't have anybody that I see in person who happens to read it, but I mean, that could be a possibility. I mean, perhaps I need to do some, promotion on your part and get my friends to read it.
Well, there's going to be a giveaway, by the way. So there's the giveaway this week that's celebrating all existing subscribers, but wait until Thursday because there's going to be another giveaway for folks to try to by word of mouth, trying to get more people in there. So yeah, you can.
I like that.
You can get some more people. What do you want to read more about? Let's say, so you said education, but is there something that you haven't been reading that you might want to, have more articles about that I should be looking for?
My favorite article so far, and the one that has stuck with me, and I think it's been at least a couple of months, is the one where the woman was traveling and doing I think it was the Appalachian Trail. And I really love that one because I feel like it was a perspective. We don't hear about a lot about women traveling in books and stuff. And then just all the different histories and different ways, things that were weaved into that story, I thought was really powerful. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it was so incredible as a woman of color. And also you were saying you actually, we talked about that and you said that you really like travel writing, which it's a genre. I thought travel writing was, I went to Italy and now I came back. But you were saying, can you say more about why you like that genre?
Because I used to travel a lot, but also I like when people have these sort of uncertain times and figuring out, how to traverse a different area that they're not used to, I think is interesting. And specifically, it's hard to find books, articles, anything written by women because I think traveling as a woman is a different experience, especially alone. And so to get those different voices, I think is really, it's interesting to see that.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And I don't know. I mean, do you think that this might be, we could probably talk for an hour or two, but do you think that this is okay right now? We can get some tea right now and just continue talking?
Absolutely. And we can talk about perhaps the theme music to this podcast.
You want some theme music?
Yeah. I think that would be good. There's a song by Kanye West called Highlights. It's not highlighter, but I'm just throwing it out there.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you. I just want to thank you, before we go, I want to thank you so much. You've been a subscriber now for almost the entire time. And so I hope that, that you still enjoy the digest. And I just want to thank you again for being on the show.
Oh, absolutely. I'll come back anytime.
Cool. I'll talk to you soon. And I just wanted to say thank you. And I wanted to say to all the listeners out there, I hope that you enjoyed today's podcast episode. Loyal listeners and loyal subscribers, if you'd like to be on the show, please let me know. We're going to be recording on Sundays or Mondays, depending on when you're free. And that's it for this week. And I'll see you in just a couple of days at 9:10 a.m. this Thursday for the next issue of the Highlighter Digest. Have a great day.